Joan Wendell's awfully pretty. The contest was run by newspapers, and that Wendell girl works on one. That's the price of being a beauty queen. Getting the eye in a pleasure city like this where guys have only one idea in their heads. A face without any features, just hideous eyes. I even feel them looking at me through the window when I'm in my room. It's up 2 stories. The only way a person could reach the window would be by coming across the alley from the next building, and that's almost inconceivable. The girl had been drinking, we found that out, and the liquor inflamed her imagination. Just forget it. I'll be all right in the morning. Sure you will, honey. Chapter 3. The Beauty Thieves. Kirk had been bunking in the flat of the Associated Press correspondent in Island City, a man named Bob Carlton. Several years before, he had been on a paper with him in a small southern city. When he got back there after leaving Joan, he found the place cluttered, as usual, with bottles and reporters. Among the reporters was Gil Goring. Goring had brought along Frank Pollard, the chubby little promoter of the beauty contest. Kirk's host, Bob Carlton, a big, genial chap, sat behind a littered desk in one corner, his legs crossed over one edge, and was regaling the others with a story. "Hi, Guy," he tossed at Kirk. "Get in on this. It'll give you a tip for married life." Goring was smirking questioningly. "Did she show you the door for trying to play too rough, Lochinvar? You didn't stay very long." Kirk's fists clenched. "Stow it, Goring," Carlton growled over his shoulder. To Kirk, "Pour yourself a drink, fella. Well, starting again. It seems a young chap married a widow who..." But he didn't get any farther. The door suddenly burst open, and the United Press correspondent in Island City rushed wildly into the apartment. "Geez, hell's broken loose," he blurted. "3 guys been found murdered in different parts of the city in the last few minutes," he gulped. Their throats had been torn, as if by something with claws. Every man in the room had come to his feet. "Throats torn," somebody echoed hoarsely. "And that ain't all," the United Press man babbled. "One of the girls from the contest had been with each one of those guys, and now they're missing." "You mean they did it?" an incredulous voice croaked. Kirk breathed. "God, Joan," and lunged for the telephone on Carlton's desk. Was she safe? Frantically, he gave the number of her hotel. He got the hotel operator, called for her suite. He heard the buzzer once, twice, 3 times, but still there was no response. And then, abruptly, the line went dead. White-faced, he dropped the receiver, whirled toward the door. Bob Carlton, who had been watching him intently, said, "I'll go with you, Kirk," and strode after him. But 2 more things happened before they even reached the middle of the room. Suddenly, with one brief warning flicker, all the lights went out, and from somewhere in the distance outside came a terrific blast. "God, look!" a horrified voice husked. A fiery red glow was streaming in the windows on one side of the room. "The bridge to the mainland's been blown up," somebody cried excitedly. "Blown all to hell." Kirk had been so startled by the explosion that he had halted in his tracks for a moment, but now he continued his rush for the door again. These queer happenings, first the telephone going dead, then the lights, then the explosion, made the menace in the city take on a gigantic significance. Something hellish was at work. Carlton was still behind him, and behind Carlton came the rest of the gang who had been in the room, all chattering crazily. Though the street lamps were also out, the street was bathed in a red glow from the burning timbers of the ancient bridge. Kirk stopped on the sidewalk to look for a stray taxi. Carlton and the others straggled from the apartment building after him. Suddenly a figure appeared from another direction. It was Jed Morgan, the reporter who had been in the foursome with Joan and Kirk at the Gaiety Club. "Geez, that was the bridge," he jabbered when he got near them. "I could see it from the corner. They blew it up." "Yeah, we know," somebody said. "Good God, what's happening in this city?" Morgan demanded in a shaky voice. "The only bridge from the mainland blasted. No lights, no telephone. Someone must want to make the whole place helpless." "Someone's after the girls," Pollard, the promoter, told him hoarsely. 3 of them already been snatched." "The girls," Morgan echoed. He trembled. "And I've just left Ruth alone." By now, Kirk had given up hope of finding a cab anywhere near there. He whirled and started to run down toward the boulevard. Joan went to her bedroom soon after Kirk left. Pulling down the shades, she started to undress. She repeated to herself all the arguments he had given her, trying to convince herself that the faceless creature the girl had claimed to see in the ladies' room at the Gaiety Club, and the eyes she was always sensing on her, were just figures of the imagination. "That's what they've got to be," she mumbled aloud. "They can't be anything else." And then, as she shed her last filmy undergarment and stood nude, she felt them. Eyes. Horrible, lustful eyes. Fixed on her body. Hot. Desirous. She grabbed some of her clothes again to hide her nakedness, spun fearfully around, flicking a searching glance at each window. But there was no space under the shades, no possible opening for eyes to peer through. She looked swiftly around the room, under the bed, in the little closet. All was just as it should be. "That proves it. It is my imagination," she whispered with a quivery sigh of relief. And she let the shield of clothes slide down from her breasts, drop back to the chair. She tried to laugh at herself for having been so foolish, but she couldn't quite throw off the shakiness the illusion had given her. She went over to the bed and turned on the bedside radio. A little music might help. Pulling on her nightdress, she sat on the edge of the bed and struggled to relax. While Joan was listening to the radio, hearing no other sounds because of the blare of the dance orchestra, the glazed window in the bathroom of the suite slid slowly up. A gray, claw-like hand was pushing it. A shadowy gray face was at the opening. Joan's aunt, hearing the music from the bedroom, began to hum in tune with it. She smiled contentedly. She had been very relieved to find that Joan was still satisfied with the prospect of marriage to Kirk, that winning the beauty contest hadn't turned her head and given her ideas about the stage or the movies. "I guess everything's going to be all right," the old lady said half aloud to herself during the brief pause between two pieces from the orchestra. She didn't see the bathroom door swing slowly outward, and because of the music, which had commenced again, she didn't hear the whisper of creeping footsteps. Too late, she sensed the menace behind her. She started to her feet, whirling around at the same time, and what she saw made her eyes widen with sick horror. But no scream came from her mouth, for gray, claw-like hands clamped on her throat. She choked once, and that was all. In the bedroom, Joan yawned sleepily and went over to turn the main lights off. She raised the window and then came back to bed where the reading lamp still burned. A moment later, she darkened the room and settled herself for sleep. Yet even in the dark, these lusting, evil eyes seemed to burn at her. The dimness all about her was filled with fantastic, flitting shapes, horrible, menacing. She made herself lie still on the pillows and tried desperately to relax and fix her mind on other things. But it was impossible. The feeling of eyes burning at her out of the darkness wouldn't be stifled. "No, they're not there," she whispered in a frantic voice. "They're not. God, Kirk, help!" She leaped completely out of bed now, quaking with terror, for she had actually seen them. Eyes, awful, glowing eyes. This was no illusion, it was real, and so was that hideous, featureless face. She stumbled wildly across the room and toward the door, one foot caught on the bottom of her nightgown. With a hysterical whimper, she tried frantically to regain her feet. Too late. Claw-like hands seized her throat. She tried to fight free, but they held like claws of steel. Her head began to whirl, her strength fail, and slowly, with the sound of a gloating chuckle in her ears, she felt herself slip toward unconsciousness.